Good morning. So what we have today is a F10 528, and this is a fuel pump job. This is applicable on 528, 535, 545 or 550. I can't remember if they have the 545 anymore denomination or if they're all 550s now, but this is the same low pressure fuel pump on all the engines. This is, again, the low pressure fuel pump, not the high pressure one that's on the engine for the injectors. First thing, you need to come to the back seat on the passenger side, right here, and on the other side, right here, you're gonna want to pull up. There's retaining clips that hold this seat in place. I've already pulled this one up, so it's not gonna pop, but they will make a pop right there. That is the retaining clip, and then you pull up right here to get the seat belts to come up as straight as you can. On that side, step into the car. You want those upright so they pull straight up, which is kind of a pain, but there they go. If you pull the seat forward and try and pull them up, they will get bound in there because the way the cables are, and this back side of the seatbelt latch will get stuck against, there's a little piece of metal in here, or metal or plastic composite that holds up against the ridge of that. So pull those up, pull this out. That right here will give you the pop when you pull up on the seat. Right here, it'll pop around that. These little springs, these guys are little springs, so get the seat out of the way. I usually just set it up on the roof of the car gently, right here, across the sunroof, so you're not scratching the customer's paint. Then you pull this guy back. That is the cover for your fuel pump. Set that out of the way. I actually don't have my 10mm impact, so let me go get that. All right, so I'm back. Got my tools. You're gonna need a 10mm socket on either a ratchet or an impact, flathead for your hose clamp, which might actually be a constant tension clamp, the crimp style one. If it is, I'll just put a regular hose clamp back on it. Doesn't need the constant tension clamp. Then you'll need a big screwdriver to knock the hat loose and a rubber mallet. I don't suggest using a hammer. If you use a hammer, you could break the plastic ring, but you don't want to do that. Then you got to buy a plastic ring, and they're expensive. So here we go. Around, you guys right here. All right, so first thing you want to do, you want to take all these 10mm little nuts out. Slide this little top hat off. And take this gasket, push it in so you get a little more wiggle room and play on your wire harness right here. Then this retaining lock slides out. If I can get my screwdriver. You slide this little clip that way, not too hard. And then you should be able to just wiggle it up if it goes like that. So that's locked. That's unlocked. You have your, I think this is the driver. Take that little clip and, where's the clip at? Right there. Little tab. Squeeze this little tab if my camera will focus. Right there. This little tab right here releases that clip from, I think that's the driver. I'm not 100% sure on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then you have your power wire, power supply and ground supply right there. And actually this is a metal lock ring, not a plastic one like the older E46 E90 style, so you could actually use a hammer. I'm still going to use a rubber mallet though. And then you have your fuel line release right here. So that's the main fuel line. It actually doesn't have a clamp like I was talking about, again like the E90s and E46s. So that had a little pressure on there. It will pop and spray you. Just be careful of that. Try not to get too much fuel in the customer's car. They do not like the smell of fuel. So now you'll pop your lock ring off right here without breaking that fuel line. And you're just going to take your mallet and your screwdriver and get a little tap, tap, taparoo. you may have to reposition and get a different angle on this ring. It will sometimes bind if you go the same side. So like, just started here. Ideally, I'd like to hit right here, but I don't want to come right here and smack you guys on the camera. So I'm trying just to work myself around it. There it is. Okay. Now your ring came loose. You want to get this thing out of the way. Hold your wiring out of the way. Hold your fuel line out of the way. Take the ring off. Set that out of the car on something that's not dirt. You don't want dirt on that. Compound any more dirt that you already is going to have on top of the hat right here. And then this guy, I'm going to take my screwdriver, and there's a little clip that holds this into the hat. Just push back on that, releases that guy. Dry that off so it's not covered in fuel. And then your fuel pump is ready to come loose. Now when you pull this out, there's going to be a transfer line to the other side or saddle of the tank over on the driver's side, which is, I believe it's this first one right here, which would be closer to the back of the vehicle. So just reach in there, push on the tab, and then should release that line. There it is. So you release this line right here, which is towards the back of the fuel level sender assembly, pump assembly, whatever you want to label it. And then you may have to move it out of the way to get this fuel pump out. So now we should be able to reach in, and there's going to be a tab on this thing. Let's see. Tab you have to press out on to release it, which it's not really wanting to, so let's see if I can release that harness. This internal harness right here on the bottom side of the fuel hat, there is just a clip. You push in on that, pulls right out. And you got a little more wiggle room inside there to work. And this harness stays in the car, I believe. Double check, but just push it out of the way inside the tank for the moment. Can't really lose it. It's got retaining clips into this base that the fuel pump sits in, so it's not like it's going anywhere. There are actually 3 tabs that hold this assembly into the tank. And actually there's one more clip that holds a fuel line in here. I don't know if that's a return. I don't know what that is, but just take it off very gently, push on the tab, wiggle it around, comes right off. Set that guy to the side, and remember, this all has to go back together at some point, so don't be too rough with it and break anything, because you do not want to be pulling this tank out. Let's try these tabs again. Gently loosen this wiring, which basically every time you loosen tension on this thing, it will pop back down on those clips. You have to release them so you can really get this pump out. All right, now we've got our regulator assembly that I guess just bleeds back into the tank. Our fuel pump is now loose. Push that first line we pulled off of it back in there. And then we have the main body of the pump, the fuel strainer at the bottom, and she's out. Here's our new unit. This is a import direct. You can get from O'Reilly's. I don't think you can get it from AutoZone. I think they carry their own Duralast brand, but it's the same thing. And then it goes back in reverse order. So next thing, take these caps off. You don't want to put those in there. You can't get your lines back on. Carefully move those fuel lines you disconnected earlier back out of the way. You will need to connect those, so don't forget about them. And then orient your pump or orientate your pump back down into the tank, right like that. So now you have all 3 clips lined up. There are little channels where those clips will sit between, and then you can hook your wiring back up to the bottom side of your hat right here. But let's hook our fuel lines back up, the internal ones. That guy right there is gonna go on, and then this smaller one right here goes on. This guy still. Take your pressure regulator assembly. So that's got a line going on to it. I didn't see one on the old one. Let's reach in there, see if we can find it. So after I dug around in the tank a little bit more, try to find out, this does not plug into anything. This does just bleed back into the tank. So shove this guy back down in roughly the same way it was going when you pulled it out, which is back in there like this. And then hook this guy back up. Make sure you get it in the right way. Remember, this thing has a tab. You must line up with the hat, the clip right here on the hat. Line that guy back up. Make sure it is all the way seated in. And then feed the hat back in here. Oh, don't forget the new gasket. I do have a new gasket with this. Take that out. New gasket. Put that guy right in the channel of the tank. You don't want fuel leaks when your customer goes to fill up for the first time. There's that. Now, shove this guy back in here. This hat needs to be 180 degrees, so take this back off. Okay, take that guy off. And this is gonna sit roughly like this. Right. So this hat needs to be like this. Watch your gasket while you're messing with this. So that hat needs to sit like that, or no, this module goes down. Okay, so that module is down like that. This can be a little bit of a fight. I've never done these, so you guys are with me on my first one on an F10. This guy goes like this. Okay. So shove this guy back in this way, and plug your harness in right there. New gasket on, and in the groove on the tank, which can be a struggle, not like the older gaskets that slipped right on the base of this, which are pretty easy. Does not fit that way, so you have to put it right there. And then put your lock ring back on. Right there. That's it. Plug your fuel line back on there. Put the retaining clip back on it. Your power, and then, oh, this guy right here. You have this guy. Remember, all the way out. Push it down, squeeze that, and it will seat that all the way down against the pump base. Now you take your little module thing. I don't know the technical name for that. Clip it back down into the new pump top hat. Plug your harness in. That's it. The rest is just putting this cover back on, putting the seat in, make sure your seat belts are in there correctly, so that everything operates in a safe manner for your customer or yourself, your children, grandparents, whoever you have in the back seat. Now, toss the nuts back on. These are the squeeze style lock nut on the top. So they will be easy and they'll get a little tight. You are not stripping them. That's how they're designed. And that's it. The rest is just put the seat back in. You lay your little you lay this guy back over once you get your tools out of the way. Put your seat back in, feed the seat belts up the same way you took them out. You have to go straight, go to angle, they get stuck, seat won't go in. Fire the car up, clear the codes, should be good to go. Thanks, have a good one.